Good morning, everyone. My name is Rick Earls, and I'm the Director of Industry and Innovation for Team NEO, and I will be your moderator today. Welcome to today's webinar entitled Optimize for Improvement. This webinar is a fifth in a series of 5, and it's the last one, of course, in the series, of a webinar that describes the steps necessary for the implementation of data-driven manufacturing. And of course, data-driven manufacturing is an emerging technology, an emerging trend that, when embraced by manufacturers, is proven to greatly improve business performance and efficiency. So with that said, let me do a little bit of housekeeping first. Everyone has the ability to submit questions throughout the whole presentation today, so don't hesitate to use that function. You can see that button with the cloud and the question in the middle of it. On the right-hand side of your screen allows you to do that. Also, you should know that the webinar is being recorded today. And so within 24 hours after the webinar is over, you're going to be able to have access to that recording. Plus, you'll have access to the slides. Plus, there's going to be some additional emphasis put on resources that you can then use for further education. So with that said, let's go to the next slide. So I'd like to introduce Jay Ferran. He's our Senior VP of Industry and Innovation for Team NEO. And amongst the many functions he performs, he is responsible for the oversight of the Smart Manufacturing Cluster of Northeast Ohio. And he's going to give us a little background on that cluster's activity and its influence on the innovation in the region. And then he will also give us a high-level description of the webinar series known as How to Start Your Journey to Data-Driven Manufacturing. So with that said, Jay, take it away.
All right, thank you, Rick. Really appreciate it. And good morning, everyone. Welcome. We're so glad you're here. We know you have lots of choices, especially as we near a holiday weekend. And so we're deeply appreciative of you giving us your time to what we believe is going to be a very informative and insightful presentation from our good friends at Libra Industries and Vizion360. We thank them for their participation. Let me tell you real quickly about the Smart Manufacturing Cluster of Northeast Ohio. It was formed to accelerate the growth and competitiveness of the Northeast Ohio regional economy through implementation of industrial IoT. And we want, the real motivation here was we have a lot of small and medium-sized manufacturers in the region, nearly 7,000. And it's an imperative, really, that our manufacturers look to industrial IoT as a way to make their organizations more productive so they can remain globally competitive. The mission of the Smart Manufacturing Cluster is to connect IoT knowledge, experience, tools, and networks with manufacturers that generate demand, increase productivity, spur product innovation, and develop, importantly, the talent and resources necessary to drive IoT implementation and innovation. The way the cluster contributes is in the form of events, webinars like this one, to build knowledge, to create networks. But we also provide a number of other tools in our cluster efforts. That includes initially a roadmap, a commercialization roadmap that indicated that there's up to $13 billion of incremental GRP opportunity for the region if we get a reasonable level of IoT implementation by 2025. Within our website, smartmanufacturingcluster.org, there you would find a readiness assessment to help you as an organization understand where you are on your IoT journey. Use cases that are offered from solution providers and manufacturers from around the world based on the application that you're interested in and by the size of your operation and the industry that you're in. These use cases can be a valid way to sort of understand where your first opportunity, your second opportunity might be. So again, hopefully at some point you'll get a chance to visit the cluster, attend one of our events, and get involved, and that's what we look for. So again, this webinar series is just another indication of the value of the cluster. And this is a 5-part series as indicated. And why we think it's special is because we bring together a manufacturer and a solution provider who provide a real life use case. The emphasis here will be on operational excellence, improved efficiency, and the profitability, particularly of small and medium-sized manufacturers. So with that, I'm going to now turn it back to Rick. Thank you again for your participation. And again, we encourage you to get involved in the Smart Manufacturing Cluster of Northeast Ohio. Rick?
All right, next page. All right, just very quickly. So many of you have been able to handle the whole series and been through the whole series. So we started out with prepare. Again, these are the 5 steps necessary for the implementation of data-driven manufacturing. We started out with prepare. And again, that emphasis was working together between the solution provider and a manufacturer, and then working to come up with a plan to go forward. And then if you noticed, or at least if you were part of it, then the steps 2, 3, 4, and 5 are really the implementation of that plan. And again, that plan was to set up expectations as to how the business would be impacted by applying some of these concepts. Then we talked about connecting all the assets and extracting useful data from each one of those, how you would do that. Then how to make that data visualize, or how to visualize that data, make it available for all of the associates within the organization that need it, rather than have to wait for it, so they could make real-time decisions. And then analysis was the last seminar. Again, once you have a number of different data series, what do you do? How do you compare them to? How do you extract and start harvesting value from that data? And then today you're going to be listening to how we actually focus on optimizing. So it's the further, once you've figured out one application, how do you go on to subsequent applications? How do you figure out which ones you want to go on to? And then turn that into actual practices, new practices for the organization. So next slide, please. So today we're going to be focused, we're going to drill down. Not only are you going to see a use case for Libra at this point, but you're also going to see how the organization's drilled down to, again, analyzing, collecting operational data and supports improved business performance applications, change manufacturing process, to reflect that, and then benchmarking and monitoring connected machines and operation process to improve results, and then determining how new process development to improve the organization can be applied to other areas of the factory. Next slide, please. So the agenda here today is I'm going to introduce both Rod and Joseph, and then I'll turn it over to Rod. Rod's going to talk about then the use case for Libra, and how, again, that's all focused on, eventually it's going to be focused on optimization. Then we're going to also have input from Vizion360 as to how they supported efforts to implement the model, or at least the system. And then there's a separate questions and answer session at the end. So with that said, I want to introduce Rod first. So Rod, well, okay, go ahead, Rod, you do it.
All right. Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Rod Howell, and I'm the CEO of Libra Industries. I'm excited to be here. We really have a great story to tell, and I don't know that we can fit it all in the time slot allotted, but it's really been a very exciting journey that we've been on, and I think it's something that I wish I would have had someone to, maybe educate or inform me on this journey before we had to just kind of stumble through it ourselves. But at any rate, you can see just a quick bio. I've been in manufacturing, owned and ran manufacturing companies for the past 40+ years. Wide variety of industries. Started off in the machining, did all different kinds of manufacturing, and then ultimately ended up into the electronics contract manufacturing, which is what we do today. and we've done a number of M&A activity as part of our 40-year plus history. So if you go to the next slide. What I want to do is just give you a quick background on Libra Industries. Some of you may know us, others may not, but you know, we've been around, started in 1980 as Libra. I'll get into our sell side and things like that in a moment. But basically, we have 4 major manufacturing sites. We have facilities up here in Northeast Ohio. We have another one down in Dayton, Ohio, another one in Dallas, Texas, and our latest facility down in Guaymas, Mexico. We have 460 plus employees across those sites. And just a quick background, the company was started back in 1980 by myself and my father. We were acquired by Capital Works, a private equity firm out of Cleveland here back in May of 2019. And we just recently acquired our Guaymas, Mexico facility, believe it or not, in January of this year. And that was an interesting ride. And we'll touch on that a little bit because that acquisition really plays into this DDM and business analytics and everything that Joe Beaucaire and the Vizion360 team has done for us. So if you flip to the next slide. All right, so who are we? You know, Libra Industries is a systems integrator and electronics contract manufacturer. And, you know, what does that mean? Well, on the low end, what that means is, as a contractor, call it a job shop, whatever you might, we build things for other people. We have no IP of our own per se. We have no products. 100% of what we do is building other people's products. So call us a professional manufacturer, because that's really what we are. And a couple of our taglines, ideation to realization, as you can see there. What that means is if you as the customer have an idea about a product, we can allow that product to come to fruition. You know, we can help you do the design, the layout, the manufacturing, the testing, all the way through final order fulfillment, if you wish. When you look at the chart on the right of the slide there, you can see how vertically integrated we are. And, you know, we started out in the electronic space, but we migrated into the machining, the metal fabrication, and the final assembly. So it's been a long journey. You know, it's taken us over 40 years to accomplish this goal. But truthfully, it's been a fun ride, and I've had a ball doing it. So if you flip to the next slide. This just tells a little bit about our facilities. As I said before, we have 4 major manufacturing sites, but we actually have 6 facilities within those sites. And this is all part of our redundant technology within each site as part of our disaster recovery plan. So there's at least 2 of these facilities that do the same thing. Just God forbid something should happen at one facility. We cannot afford to let our customers down, so we look for developing technology redundance across all of these sites. If you go to the next slide, I've kind of zipped through those previous slides pretty quick because I want to really get to the meat of the discussion today. You know, you can see the complexity of our business, the multi-site platforms, the multi-technologies from electronics, printed circuit board assembly, wire and cable harness, you know, ultra high precision machining, metal fabricating. We pretty much do it all. That's a very complex business. And as we were growing, probably like most of you guys, we don't know what we don't know, and we struggle, and we would grow, we'd be successful, and then we would hit a wall. And we would say, you know, we just can't grow anymore because we don't have control of our business. We don't have the knowledge. We don't have the intelligence to understand what's really going on within our business. And even though you're successful and you're growing, it's all consuming, right? There's only so many hours in a day. There's only so much you can do. And we ran out of bandwidth. I personally ran out of bandwidth. And I would go home many nights shaking my head, saying, there's got to be a better way. And finally, it was just, I got to the end of my rope and said, I need help. I didn't want to accept that we couldn't grow further. And I knew that there had to be better solutions. And that caused me to reach out. Now, historically, we've always had a board. We've had a board of advisors for 20 plus years. And I would strongly recommend to everyone, have a board of advisors. It's one of the best things you could ever do. And one of our board members, in dealing with this frustration, said, well, I know a guy that I think, could help. And he ultimately introduced us to Joe Beaucaire, and we've developed a great friendship and a phenomenal working relationship ever since. But what I'm getting at is this all gets down to business intelligence, DDM, the data-driven manufacturing, the data warehouse, the dashboardings, all the tools that we need to get us information. Because the big thing that we were struggling with is, where is the work? Where's the work on the floor? We used to run down from the office to the floor to check things. Customers would call and they'd expedite their order, and they'd say, well, what's the status of my order? And the program manager would say, well, I'll go check on that and get back to you. We had on-time delivery issues. We had scheduling issues. We had profitability issues. To be honest, we didn't know which jobs we were making money on and which ones we were losing on. Net, we knew when we would do our financials at the end of the month that we were making money, but we honestly didn't know what was a good job and what was a bad job. We just didn't have the data. We didn't have the visibility. And consequently, we weren't always making the best decisions and choices. And that's really what drove us on this journey to say, there's got to be a better way. We need more information. It has to be timely. It has to be easily accessible. And that's the only way we're going to win. So that's really what drove us down this path to, I think what ultimately created our greater success. And, it's not just the success for the organization or me as the owner, but really it's the success and the fulfillment and enjoyment of all of our employees. I mean, the frustration level in the company was so high back, I call them the dark days. It was so high back then that we were just burning all of our people out. And today it's a totally different world. So if you flip to the next slide, and Joe and I are both going to speak to this a little bit, but this really is how the journey began and what ultimately led us to, I would call a world-class data-driven facility. DDM, business analytics, it's all part of it. But if you take a look in the lower left-hand corner there, it was back around 2011 that we started partnering with Vizion360, and that was really the beginning of the journey. And I'll tell you what an eye-opening experience it's been. The first thing we did was we got down on the shop floor and we put in an MES system and really started tracking some of the things that we're doing. Joe, why don't you jump in and tell a little bit about, how you and I would sit down and we'd have those discussions. I'd tell you my frustrations, and then you'd say, well, we could do this or we could do that. And it was that back and forth bantering that really allowed us to create just a phenomenal system.
Right. I mean, it was, we're very fortunate to have great customers like Libra, and this has been an outstanding experience for myself and our team as well. And it's been a true partnership. I mean, we started in late 2010, early 2011, and Rod and I sat down and he discussed his pain points. And we decided to, very much like one of the previous presentations, we started on a 3-month strategy session. We talked about what our pain points are. We laid them out, and we laid out kind of an IT strategy. And based on some experience I'll tell you about later, I'm a firm believer that you work on how do you connect all the information. You begin with the end game in time. What's the data it is that we need to run the business, and then figure out what our pain points were. we had lots of them. You know, we had to improve our MRP, we had to improve our shop floor, we had to get information from machines, what was up, what was down, what our efficiency and scrap rates were, all those things. So we started out with a 3-month strategy to prepare things. And then we started into our connect phase, and we had to start by connecting data from our ERP. We had to create a shop floor system because we weren't tracking what was going on the floor. We thought we had an on-time and scheduling problem, but in order to affect that, we had to get to the root cause. We had to know where jobs were at on the floor. We had to know which machines were actually up and running, and we needed to kind of get that there. And so we then created a roadmap. Started out with an 18-month roadmap, said we can't swallow the elephant in total. These are all the things we have to do. Let's get some wins in. Let's start the process with our biggest pain points. And that's what started with the MES shop floor control. And we focused on capturing our project and our job information so we can help support our customers and improve on-time performance. We then knew we would move on to inventory analytics. Then we would move on to labor and machine efficiencies. That's where we started connecting. And then we added visualization and analysis tools, which then work together in a continuous loop of improvement. And along the way, we implemented connectivity, we implemented improved systems. We had tons of spreadsheets out there. Everybody was managing everything manually and on spreadsheets. The ERP system was taking the sales order, had base inventory, had invoicing and financials, and had a base shop order, but then we lost track of everything there. And everybody was doing everything manually in spreadsheets. We had multiple versions of what was going on. And as Rod said, the customer called, we had to walk out to the floor to find out. Now we have dashboards and information real time. Somebody wants to know where a job is, they click a couple buttons and they can see exactly where that job is, whether it's on schedule or behind schedule, how we're producing in hours, what machine or line it's on. All those things are readily available. And I think as we went down the journey, we then just started adding more pieces, gradually automating and taking out spreadsheets, connecting data, always focusing on both the back-end transactions as well as the activity on the floor and machines up to where it actually meant as a distance. I think that allowed us to start to organically grow, get our arms around our business. And then we realized, it was kind of a little bit of where I thought we would end up, but didn't realize we would be able to take it as far as we have. Because Libra was a very small middle market manufacturing company, and sometimes they don't believe they can afford these solutions. But we created a creative solution where they had to make some investments, but we made sure that each project created a return on that investment and then allowed us to fund the next piece of the puzzle. And then we built it. And then we started acquiring businesses. So then what we had to do was then take that platform of analytics and integration and data-driven management style and move it into the platform businesses that we started to acquire. As the visualization tools and technologies grew and got better in 2015, 16, 17, 18, we continually upgraded the technology and also improved it. And I think one of the things that was really important, and Rod talks about this, is you can put in all the greatest technology in the world, but we're in this continuous improvement mode. And so as new technologies and connectivity comes into the machining equipment, a lot of our machine partners are now coming with data that they're feeding into our analytics and components. But in the end, optimization is all about continuous improvement and taking action on the data. So as we started moving down the path, we had to energize the people. And optimization requires the merging of people, process, and technology, and it's all held together with culture. So Rod, why don't you talk a little bit about how people embraced what we were doing and how culture really made the difference towards optimization?
Yeah, so that's a great point, Joe, because this had a huge positive cultural impact on our organization. And, if you remember earlier, I said there was a lot of frustration. I mean, we were a very successful company before. I mean, we were growing, we were profitable, but we were truthfully burning out our people because we just didn't have all the systems and the tools that we needed. We were a small company, we were growing up and we were really growing out of control. And that creates a lot of stress and strain on your people. And culturally, we needed to make a shift. We needed to help them, provide them the tools to be successful. Well, once we went down this path and we started implementing all of these tools, there was, believe it or not, you would think that they would welcome everything with open arms, but there was a lot of resistance because this was change. You know, we had people in the company that were masters of Excel spreadsheets, and everything we did were through these spreadsheets. And we wanted to kill all of that and move into a more integrated, data-driven system and process. So there was a lot of pushback in the beginning. And then also in the beginning, as we're issuing these reports and these dashboards to show this new information, people were questioning the accuracy of the information. So, and I think this was part of their resistance or passive aggressive nature to the change. And it took us a while to get them over the hump, because while the data wasn't perfect, it was directionally correct. And they would tend to go off into the weeds and say, well, but this little information here is wrong, that's wrong. And it took Joe and I quite a while to really convince the team, look, nothing's perfect. You're not going to have 100% total accuracy in all the data, but it's directionally correct, and it's way more data than we ever had, and it helped us make better decisions. And, you know, one by one, people started getting on board with that. They started buying into the data. And I think the most important thing that had a positive impact on the culture was, in the past, our people, because they were doing everything by spreadsheets, they only saw their piece of the pie. Well, now that we had all of these dashboards and all this business intelligence information, we started sharing the entire company information across the board to virtually anyone in the organization that had a computer. They could see this stuff. So what happened was managers started seeing what other managers were dealing with. They started to understand better how the actions that they take impact, you know, their coworkers. And it started to create a culture of collaboration and partnering. And it really ultimately led to us building a very high performing winning team. And I think that it was because of this data and call it the cross-pollination, if you will, of information within the different departments and areas that really helped everyone get on board and really helped us build that winning culture. And we continued to grow. We continued to add more customers and more business and more complexity to our business, but things actually got easier for everyone. So everyone's job, while they were doing more, their job became much more fulfilling, and they were much more calm and relaxed in their day-to-day activities because they had the information at their fingertips. They didn't have that old level of stress that not knowing, you know, it's not knowing what you don't know can be very stressful.
So, and one of the things I want to talk about is, you know, we talked about the data, and I want to reflect back to all the other previous presentations, which were outstanding. And a lot of components of what they did were components along our journey, you know, and I think it was the Rockwell presentation where they talked about how they use the data. And then when something didn't look right, they were able then to create, and we would do a lot of time studies and engineering for continuous improvement. The data driven and numbers allowed us to identify improvement opportunities in scrap or humidity or other different things that you heard stories about earlier. We experienced some of those same things. So when they said, well, wait, this data is not right, then we had to basically find out how to improve the process in order to improve the data. You know, when it came to connecting data machine tracking, we had people writing down on spreadsheets machine information. Now we can pull that information from the machines in the preparation stage. Now, one of the things that I believe data-driven manufacturing and business intelligence is a journey. You continue to answer questions, sharpen the saw, and then create a feedback loop. So we would do a project, prepare it, connect and organize the information, visualize it, analyze it, optimize it, identify improvement opportunities, change process and people, make improvements and adjustments, and then go on to the next project, and then we circle back, prepare, connect, visualize, analyze, and then optimize, get results, make improvements, use those improvements to fund the next one, and then eventually you have created a track record and, to Rod's point, a culture that's on the shop floor, it's in the scheduling office, it's in the supply chain, it's in inventory management, it's in customer service, it's in financials. And so data-driven manufacturing has the ability to cover all aspects of your business. And then when you get everybody singing off the same song sheet and you get overlapping connectivity so you don't have inconsistent data, a life becomes really good.
Yeah.
Why don't we move on to the next one?
The next slide. Thank you. So, what does it look like when it's all done? And this, we're still going down this path because, as Joe said, it's always continuous improvement, and the technology and the tools keep getting better and better. But because of our data-driven manufacturing system, it allowed us to grow and control and communicate seamlessly across all of the facilities. And if you remember some of the previous slides, with facilities in Northeast Ohio, Southwest Ohio, Texas, and Mexico, and all of those facilities sharing manufacturing and servicing one another, you have to have good communications. You have to have good systems, processes, and control in order to optimize what you're doing. Keep in mind, we're a contract manufacturer. We build other people's products. And another one of our taglines is we provide customized manufacturing solutions that make our customers more competitive and improve their profitability. And what we mean by that is we can manufacture their products faster, better, and less expensively than they can. And if we cannot achieve that, there's no reason for us to exist. That is our entire value proposition. So how do you do that? Because anyone can go out and buy a machine. Anyone can go out and hire an employee. We have to be smarter. We have to not necessarily work harder, but we have to work smarter. And the way we work smarter now today is through these systems and these processes, because we have better access to information. Not only do we know more about our business, believe it or not, we know more about our customers' business, because we have all the data, we have all the analytics. We know instantly on the phone where every product is on the production floor. We know in our world as a contractor, we call it excess stranded inventory. It's kind of the bane of our business. We always know what the total excess stranded inventory number is at a push of a button. In the past, it used to take us weeks to get that information. And I could go on and on for hours. There's tons of dashboarding information that we have at our fingertips. But keep in mind, we're a low to medium volume, high mix environment, which is a very complex business model. And the only way we could get our arms around that is through the business analytics. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Joe, and he'll give you the nitty-gritty.
Yeah, so as Rod talked about, visibility equals results. Just some specifics. Rod just talked about inventory. We put in inventory analytics early. I think it was our second or third project, and managing inventory was important for both our customers and ourselves. And we were able to reduce excess inventory by over $1 million, almost 25% of the number, almost higher than that at that point in time. We were able to improve on-time delivery from 82% to 96%. We were able to get truth and factions, and we had measurable results in each initiative that we did, very much like the previous ones did. Let's talk about not only preparing, but also what is our goal and objective, and how is each one of these things. And one of the things I tried to do is also architect a model so that we could build and expand on it. So this was really important in those areas. A little bit about myself. I founded Vizion360, originally called Vision Solutions. We just rebranded and renamed to Vizion360 because we created a reusable cloud-based subscription software called Vizion360, where we were able to use these best practice models across businesses and manufacturing. Prior to that, I was with a large international consulting group where I was the regional leader of their advanced technology group. I started out in ERP implementations and selections, moved over to IT strategy, and fell in love with data warehousing, business intelligence, and how when it's all said and done, if we don't have information to act on, what good is all of those other systems? And waiting till the end of the month, the financial statements is not a way to make consistent, improved, and stay competitive. Some of the other presentations talked about, there's always pressure on cost, and in order to stay profitable, you have to figure out how to produce more at a more efficient rate, a more cost-effective rate in order to maintain growth and profitability of your enterprise and stay valuable in the supply chain. Whoops, a little fast. We talked about this. One of the things that Vizion has done is we try to blend our technical skill sets in data warehousing, data modeling, data integration, and understand that it's business oriented and process modeling. So I think it was Hitachi that talked about that, and I think so did the first ones, where you really had to break down the business processes, understand what it was that we needed. What did we need from the machine? What were we going to do with that information? So you have to have the manufacturing information. It has to be a collaborative effort, where we brought in the technology skills, we brought in the business understanding, but it was the business expertise of Libra and its people working together as a partner. It's a joint project that really drives the components. We do all of our analytics on the Microsoft stack, and there's a lot of tools within that BI platform. The solution, Impact Analytics, is the name of our Vizion360 data analytics. We have analytics from manufacturing to inventory to supply chain to sales, CRM analytics to financial analytics. We bring it in holistically. You don't have to implement them all at once. You can implement them in pieces and build them on, because we've done this and we've created a solution framework that allows you to attack the areas of biggest pain and then grow. Then obviously shop floor control and MES, right? Getting the data from the machines, getting the data from your transactions that are flowing through the floor, integrating data from ERP. Our Vizion360 platform allows you to pull data from all different systems. So we are integrating data, and we pull it from the ERP, we pull it from your shop floor, we pull it from your scheduling tools. If they're all in one integrated ERP, great. But if you have a best of breed third-party systems or custom developed software, we can pull that in. We pull in CRM data, and from some of our customers, we can even pull in data from other third-party resources that you might have out there, if you have market information or HubSpot or Google Analytics or whatever it might be. But in the end, it's all about how do you get organization around your information, and in order to optimize it, you got to be able to take action on it. So here's the thing that I look at. I call this our knowledge pyramid, right? When it's all said and done, you have all kinds of transactional data at the bottom. The transactional data comes from your ERP, your CRM, your warehouse management systems, your financial systems, and your IoT from your machines. And now we're getting AI and machine learning. But when it's all said and done, in order to optimize it, you have to start at the top of the pyramid. You start with the visualizations, the dashboards. As Rod talked about, he gets up in the morning, he has a holistic dashboard. He knows exactly what's going on with his inventory, his shop floor, his sales, his backlog, his bookings, all in one dashboard. Then you need to peel the onion. So the visualization and analyzation, in order to move from visualization to analyze, you need to have that summary layer, that knowledge layer here in the middle. But in order to build that, a lot of people are putting BI tools just on their transactional data. But in order to truly optimize it, you got to be able to take the visualization. You have to have the drill down. You have to have the data integrity, and you have to have one source of the truth. So the way we do that is we use a data warehouse layer to pull all this information together into organized subject areas that interconnect, so we don't have redundancy. We have consistency of interconnectivity at the data warehouse level. That creates a summary level to analyze and a dashboard to visualize. So we have the business start from the top down. We build the analytics from the bottom up. So what does optimizing business value in DDM really mean? Well, we look at it this way. If we don't make our customers successful and they're not growing, they're not going to reinvest in a continuous improvement in other projects. So when it's all said and done, we're in business to improve profitability, grow our top line, increase productivity and efficiency. But from both a business perspective, you also have to manage company risks. We talk about cybersecurity and the bigger things. That's a company risk. Inventory is a company risk. If inventory is growing out of control, it can create financial strain on the organization. Quality is a company risk. So sometimes you have to make sure analytics support our ability to also manage those pieces. Business intelligence in DDM, I believe, puts it puts it all together. We want to make it very easy to access and share information. It needs to be real time. In order to optimize all this, we got to be making decisions daily and weekly. We can't wait for the end of the month. Can't even wait till the end of the week to find out if we're having a problem with a machine. You cannot recapture time. So real time, quick navigation. We have to be able to analyze it from the visualization so we can identify the waste. We can identify the improvement opportunities. We can identify the bottlenecks. When all that's put together, it helps us improve decision making. It helps us continuously improve. It helps us keep our finger on the pulse of the business. And that's optimization, in my opinion. And the business stories tell it all. The technology we can help you do. But in the end, without the culture and the collaborative nature of making this a true part of your success strategy is there. So where are we going from here? Optimizing these investments. Everybody's always had reports. This slide is courtesy of Microsoft. Everybody has reports. Everybody has visualizations and interactive dashboards. What happened? Why did it happen? Where we really want to get into optimization is with the evolution of AI and machine learning, we want to now turn that into what will happen. How can we create data alerts? How can we create real-time data alerts? How can we create recommended or proactive data alerts when we see things start to slip? And when we get to that and we get from reactive to proactive to predictive is where optimization and the journey that we're taking right now with our customers, and I'm excited to see where the next 3 to 5 years are going to take us, because some of the technologies that are being developed, our job as a partner is to help companies of all sizes leverage those investments so that they can optimize their business performance by optimizing each individual performance areas from the shop floor to machine operations. So it does go all the way down to each work center and each little sub team. Another view on optimizing performance, right? Is very, very important. The dashboards and the holistic thing of putting the whole thing together. One version of the truth. Proactive data decisions. Action. The culture has to drive action. People have to be committed to taking action. You measure your results. You identify how you're going to do it. Whatever consulting term you want to use, whether it's KPIs, whether it's OKRs or whatever different thing, lean manufacturing. All this supports lean and Six Sigma. What gets measured, what gets measured gets improved. And so we want to make sure those analytics are consistent and they roll across. But each area is going to have a different metric, different set of analytics it needs from a machine perspective and everything else. So those are the things that we want to do. We want to gain efficiency, increase sales, and grow profitability when it's all said and done. So with that, Rick, I went through my section fast because I wanted us to hear about the business journey. We can talk about the technology. We gave references to a lot of webcasts and other things where people can get more information. But Rick, let's open it up for some questions.
Your microphone's not on.
We only have a few minutes, but we have a number of questions I think we need to get to. So I'm going to extend the period beyond the 9:45 period. Any of those who want to stay on can. Any of those who want to break away have that option then too. So I have a couple of questions from the audience. The first one was from Scott Phillips. I'm assuming your question was, how did the Libra DDM journey supported by Vizion360 align with the Smart Manufacturing Cluster 5-step DDM roadmap? You saw there was a slide and also discussions from Joe specifically that described how that mapped directly to the roadmap. So I'm assuming you got that answer, but you also had a second question. And I was going to ask Rod. In fact, Mr. Phillips says that he asks, Rod, did you consider other solution providers or consultants to help you with the journey before selecting Vizion360? If you would address that.
No, actually, in terms of getting involved in this whole project, We didn't interview other parties. I didn't even know who existed and what was out there. Now, in the past, we've used a variety of other, call them IT solution providers. And for the most part, what I found there is they were selling a certain solution. They weren't selling, at least that I saw, a holistic solution. They were selling a piece of the puzzle. Joe was really the first guy that I was introduced to that had the entire vision. Now, again, to be fair, I didn't spend time researching others because I didn't know what was out there. But my experience in the past with IT solution providers were they were just selling a piece of the puzzle. And what I was looking for was a much more holistic or inclusive process, if you will.
All right. Another question then is from Mark. He's on the web. His question is, could you discuss the pros and cons of developing a custom system versus using a off-the-shelf solution? So, Rod, would you go first, and then Joe, would you chime in after?
Yeah. So, we have our MRP ERP system is McCullough, so that's a standard package. And one of the things that we did not want to do is we did not want to customize our standard ERP. And Joe can speak a little more to this, but everyone that I've ever talked to in the past is once you go down the path of starting to customize your ERP or MRP system, it really locks you in and really limits your future growth and capabilities. So one of the things that we knew we did not want to do was customize our standard programs. And what Joe brings is he has a suite of other standard programs that he's since bolted onto our system and then customized outside of our system. So when you say customized solutions, yeah, we have a customized solution, but we never customized or modified our standard package. And Joe, why don't you give a little more detail on that?
I mean, throughout the journey, we always looked at what were the best products to do. So we kept the ERP system. We bought a third-party scheduling tool. We looked at packaged software for the MES system, but because of some of the complexities of Libra Industries, there wasn't a package that's there. We have a series of manufacturing tools. We use some integrated tools from third-party products that integrate and connect to the machines down in our Dallas facility. And Vizion360 is a platform of pre-developed solutions that are industry that gets them 80% there. So we didn't build that whole thing from custom. In fact, it's a product that 75 other manufacturers in Northeast Ohio are using right now, different sections of Vizion360. However, we were able to tailor it to each company, because even when you use a packaged off-the-shelf software, everybody can implement them differently. So there's different configurations and different wiring. So what I've done over the years is, since 2002, is figure that out. And our attitude is real simple. We need to find the best solution for our customer. And sometimes we have pieces to that puzzle, and sometimes there's a better third-party product to that puzzle and we integrate it. So for example, when we built Vizion360 models, we leveraged the Microsoft technology stack instead of reinventing it. But we figure out how to pull it together into a business solution. So we think that the areas are there. When we did the analysis and plans, and then throughout the years, we always looked for what was the best answer for that area. We did take a little bit of a best of breed approach, and we only customized the integration pieces where necessary. So for example, we have 3 or 4 machine softwares that we have third-party softwares that already pulls and integrates the data. And then we use our Vizion360 platform to pull that data in so we can cross-reference that data and integrate it into one source of the truth and one set of analytical and visualization tools so the team can have optimized its efficiency along those areas. So good question. I hope that helps.
Good. Another question from Jim on the web. If you have manual or lab testing on quality verification on products, how is that fed back into the system quickly enough to minimize production defects in a timely manner? I guess, Joe, that's probably more for you.
Yeah, so one of the things is when it came to lab systems and customizations, so obviously we want to eliminate the components. One of the things we built in our platform is in our Vizion360 tool, we have a data capturing tool. And in our MES system at Libra, we created a defect bolt-on. So we created an NCMR MRV board where our quality team records those informations directly into a database-based application. So we built some forms so that the data could be entered, and the minute it's entered, it's immediately fed into our analytics. So we're tracking our scrap rates, we're tracking our defect codes, and we have that analysis throughout the day, and then we have a daily scorecard on how we did each day related to our cost of quality and our quality metrics. So like anything else, that's where we kind of use some of our customization pieces. If there is a third-party quality system, what a couple of our other customers have that are already capturing that data, we were able to build an API to connect to those data and integrate them into our data warehouse and then flow it up into our visualization and analytical tools.
All right, excellent. Rod, how did your implementation of DDM prepare you as a manufacturer for the challenges associated with COVID-19? And Joe, as a solution provider, what support has Vizion360 provided to Libra as they have adjusted to the new normal?
Yeah, so excellent question, because without all of these tools and the systems integration and information that we have, we probably would be struggling. One of the things that we did early on, or I should say probably midway through the process, is we opted to go to a cloud-based system. Prior to that, we had servers at the facility, so we migrated to the cloud, which made or allowed remote information much easier. We had the discussion earlier about all of the dashboarding and the tools available. Joe mentioned, when I get up in the morning, I open up my iPad, I have all my dashboards. Quickly, I go through everything, and in 5 minutes, I know virtually everything that's going on with the organization that day. But not only do I have that information, all of our managers have that information. So they're all constantly looking at things off-site, whether they're on the road visiting customers or they're having to work remotely. In the past, we did not have that remote access capability, nor did we have the depth of information that we have today. So that definitely had a positive impact.
So one thing was, when we got to COVID, right, obviously manufacturing had to be on site, but our support team was able to support all of the systems remotely and allow us flexibility to thin out the number of people that needed to be in the facility so the frontline people could be there. Rod was able to take his supply chain people, sales and customer service people, and the combination of all these analytics were fed up and accessible through secured locations. So we were very important about paying attention to cybersecurity. We have multi-factor authentication. We have other techniques in there that help us mitigate risks, whether people are working in the facility or remotely. Obviously, building the product, those people have to be there. But one of the things that was able to help us cope with COVID is we were able to make information and systems accessible to the management and the knowledge workers around the area. So the finance, purchasing, customer service teams, if we needed to space them out and have some on site and some remote, we were able to do it. We already support and handle and manage a lot of the remote facilities in Texas and Mexico appropriately. And we were able to actually implement, as Rod mentioned, the Mexico project acquisition was just here this year, and we were able to implement them completely remotely with the help of the on-site folks that were there. And they were able to get the analytics as well as the other systems that we needed to put into place, which are where the data starts.
Yeah, and that in and of itself was pretty amazing. And they accomplished that feat in 3 months.
Oh, excellent, good. Rod, how does Libra handle cybersecurity, and how does Vizion360 support your efforts? So both of you could chime in for that, if you would.
Yep. So again, we do a lot of military work. About 60%, 70% of our business is what we would classify as mil aerospace. And there's a huge emphasis on cybersecurity, especially within the military. There's a standard out there, NIST 800-171. So we need to be NIST compliant, and in order to access our customers' portal. So we actually have direct access to a number of our military customers portals where we can communicate, share information, things like that. And they do not allow you to do that unless you meet certain minimum thresholds and standards. Again, prior to this journey, we were not compliant. We did not have those capabilities. It was through Joe and his team that we were able to implement all of that, which again goes to the point, you need these things in order to grow and to be successful long term. Joe?
One of the things is that, you know, though we have a pretty holistic vision and our foundation is in analytics and data integration, we will bring in other partners to bring in the experts in different areas. So from a NIST compliance perspective, we have taken care of making sure all of our on-premise networks are properly segmented. We have application layers that we've worked on. When we went to the cloud, we built in our two-factor and multi-factor authentication appropriate areas. Our Vizion360, which is a separate hosted analytics on Microsoft Azure. Microsoft has a series of certification and security requirements that help us battle cybersecurity. So we leverage their areas, and then we have our own layer on top of that. We do penetration testing on a periodic basis, both on all of Libra's applications as well as our Vizion360 hosted applications. Because as Vizion360 is an analytics platform and hosted on Azure, we have a lot of customers that have military, healthcare, and other components. And we're required to have annual audits, both from Microsoft and our customers, to make sure that we're doing everything we can in the ongoing battle of cybersecurity, because it is also one that you have to continuously monitor and do that. So we went to cloud, and we also did that. So we apply our threat management and our monitoring. Our cloud service provider provides that service for us. I don't do that as Vizion360. We architected it, but we make sure it's integrated with both the infrastructure and the application layers, which includes our analytics platform.
Very good. Well, we've run out of time, so let's go on to the last slides for closeout.
Thank you, by the way. We appreciate this. And let me get to this. There we go.
So here are our list, and this is what's going to be included with the package. That's at least the link that's coming out. You'll have access to within the next 24 hours. This recommendations that includes the reading, the viewing, and also some additional resources in the region should be provided to you. So look forward to that coming. The next one. Next slide. And of course, then not only will you be able to, now that we've finished the series, not only will you be able to see the information for today's webinar, but you'll also be able to see what's taken place with all previous webinars. And you should be able to use that as again, a source for education and understanding, and hopefully will make you feel much more comfortable about embarking on the journey yourself. So with that all said, on behalf of all the speakers and myself and the cluster and Team Neo, thank you for being part of the presentation. Thank you for, many of you I've noticed have actually been throughout all 5. So again, I thank you for all your interest. And if you have any additional, if you have some additional questions you want answered, then let's go to the last slide. You can call any one of us here, myself, Rod, or Joe, or for that matter, even Eric from Vizion360. Any one of us can help you out. So with that said, thank you again for all of your participation. Appreciate having our speakers then too, did an excellent job today. Again, if you have any questions, do some follow-up. We're looking forward to it. So with that said, have a great vacation, and hope to hear from you in the future.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.